What did the film tell you about the last game here, and how does that prepare you for Friday?
We were just a half a step slow, I think, early. I think we tried to do the right things. We just weren't quite there. And yeah, a few more breakdowns defensively than we certainly had in the second half and that we typically have. It was just, I don't know. It was, I think, really the first game in conference play where we didn't get a good start. You know, we've, I think, been ahead or in all but one game in conference play at the end of the first quarter. And it was just, it was a tough one, but we figured it out and really put the clamps down defensively, and that made the difference.
I wanted to ask you more about that progress you guys have made there on that side of the court. I know Jaros will get credit because that's kind of her side of the ball, but I'm sure the players too. Just kind of, can you paint the picture for, and this is a top five, I think, defense in the Big Ten. It's a really good defensive conference. Can you set the stage for what's kind of led to some improvement there?
Well, a little bit by necessity.
Sure.
Because we're not exactly, scoring a ton. So you kind of do with what you have. We have good depth, and so you're able to, I think, put more pressure on people. We, like in years past, we just didn't have the depth, so you didn't want to tire your players out by playing, three-quarter court like we do now. And I think it's just an emphasis. I'm paying more attention to it. Obviously, Jaros has really helped, but if I'm paying attention to it, then they know that it's important. Not that I turned my back when we used to defend, but it's just, I think it's kind of evolved. I don't think we went in. I do remember talking to the team early. Last year, there were no Big Ten teams in the top 50 in country in defensive efficiency, not one. And so we did talk about, hey, to be able to set ourselves apart, this could be an emphasis. I think Ohio State was the only one in the top 60. However, 7 of the top 20 teams were or 7 of the top 20 in offensive efficiency were Big Ten teams. So, I guess we had it in the back of our minds, but I didn't envision we would kind of create the kind of turnovers and things like that we have this year.
Indiana on Friday.
Yeah.
I know one of those players very well, but what have you seen out of the Hoosiers this season?
Well, they're a great shooting team. Indiana, they're, I think right now, top to bottom, they might be the best shooting team in the conference. I think they're about 37% from the three in conference games, 80% from the line, and maybe 45, 46 overall. So they can use, they spread you out. Sydney Parrish is playing the 4 for them, and so we all know that she can really shoot the ball. And so you just, they have 5 or 6 different players that can score 20 on any given night. They're really hard to guard, so we're going to have to be on point defensively, or they could be difficult to stop.
This is your only Friday game of the season. What's it been like? You were so used to that in the Pac-12, Friday, Sunday, Friday. What's it been like kind of having a different schedule this year?
It's been different. Yeah, just, that Friday, Sunday, we had a great rhythm. We could take, we'd have the same day off every week. You could stay in the same hotel. There was less travel. But it's been okay. Actually, the more I've gotten into it, the more I kind of like the extra day to prepare. Then you don't have to trick your kids early in the week by working on some stuff for the second game of the weekend and not tell them, right? You can just really spend a lot more time and focusing on the next game, which I think has actually helped our defense. We have really smart players. We have veteran players that really have locked in on our defensive game plan. And one of our biggest strengths defensively, we are taking out the star player. Lucy Olson had 4. Sarah Williams had 2. We only play them once, so I have to worry. But the center at Illinois, same thing. We've been doing a great job of taking away their best player, their number one option.
The other thing, too, is I know Iowa's completely different from years previous, but they have traditionally pushed the pace, wanted as many possessions as possible. Ohio State is kind of the same way. What's helped you guys slow those teams down, not just the scoring, but also their pace and playing to your pace?
Yeah, our transition defense has been really good. It's been a focus. Now, unfortunately, at the expense of our offensive rebounding, we're only sending 2 people to the glass offensively. We've decided to kind of take the NBA model and limit people in transition. So that's really helped our defense, number one. I think number 2, we don't turn the ball over much. We have long possessions offensively, so we can dictate tempo that way. I think our defense has been so solid, we're stretching out other teams' offensive possessions. I mean, how many times have we had 30-second shot clock violations this year? A ton, more than any team I've ever been around. So, we're shortening the game that way. And I think it's just good, sound, solid offense and solid defense.
It's a departure from teams that you'd coached previously. What's kind of been your appreciation for playing a different style and having success playing that way?
You do with what you got. And I think this just gives us the best chance to win. I mean, it's really funny. People talk about Pat Riley, Showtime, LA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he goes to New York, and it was beat 'em up ball, bully ball, slow it down. I think you just have to adjust to the kind of team that you have, and I think we're doing that.
And what does it say too about the players as well, kind of buying into that vision and wanting to select? It's not the flashiest version of basketball, but them buying into
You
that.
think 50-49? Woo!
But them buying into that and seeing the results on the court and wins.
It's really funny. I mean, everybody knows offense is fun. You get up and down, you shoot quick, you do all that. That's fun. But actually, really good defense can be fun too. And especially defenses where all five have to be working together. If there's a weak link, it really kills you. And I think and our team has kind of gotten into that. I think they enjoy that. I think they like diving into a game plan. And I've got to give credit to my staff. They've just done an amazing job in preparing the team for our next opponent. We have two coaches that do the majority of the scouting, Lisa O'Meara and Jody Berry. They split, they each take one game, and they've done that the whole year. We used to have all the coaches share in it, and we've just stuck with two, and I think it really helps. We all watch, we all help develop the game plan, but they're the ones doing the nitty-gritty, and that's important. They've done an amazing job.
What else can you say about what Jairus has meant for the defense specifically?
Well, she has taken ownership of it, so that I love that. She has the personality. If you've been around our practice, or our games. Every once in a while, I have to grab her, sit down, but she just is into it, and I think the team, feeds off that. They love her energy, and she's upbeat every single day, and they've bought into it. Yeah, and she can get on them, but it's different when she does it and I do it. And I'm happy for that. She's really added a ton to our culture. You're going to talk to her, right? Okay.
Your office complex is a little emptier this week with Matt Ulmer going to Kansas. He was introduced yesterday in Lawrence and said he wasn't really looking to leave, but the opportunity for him and his family to be closer to other family was too hard to pass up. I know he was a big supporter of the women's squad here. Just any thoughts on Matt his time
I love
here?
Matt. He's been one of my favorite coaches here, and certainly a good friend. I mean, we've been here together for a long time. Disappointed to see him go. Sad, I should say, not necessarily disappointed, but I'm really happy for him. I always, feel good for people when they can better their own situation, and he just felt like that was going to be a little bit better for him. But what he's done here at Oregon, I mean, look at all their success up here on the board. It's amazing, and I know, and that we're going to hire somebody really good that's going to come in and kind of keep the program where it's been and maybe even get better. But I know that Matt's going to go to Kansas, and that's going to be a different program. They're going to get better in a hurry.
Brought up before the Purdue game, this being a big stretch for you guys, 2 games through it. How have you felt about how they've come out in those first 2 games, not looking, forward to road trip at Michigan next week and, UCLA on the horizon, all that?
I think, again, we have an experienced team, veteran team, and I think they get it. We haven't looked ahead. They've done a nice job of just playing the next game. And we got to do it. We have one more here at home, and if we can get that, we will have won 6 out of our last 7, and we've taken care of business at home for the most part. I think we're 12-1 right now. That's what you got to do. And then we've split both road trips. If we continue to do that, we're going to be in pretty good shape. But it's a tall order. The meat of our conference now is ahead of us. February is going to be a gauntlet. There's no question about that. The game, though, Friday against Indiana will mark the halfway point. So we'll be 9 games in, and we got 9 games left. So it'd be awesome to be 6-3 going into that second half conference.
You talk about it being a gauntlet. What are some things we've talked a lot about the things that have done well, the defense? What are some things maybe offensively, or you mentioned offensive rebounding, or things that you want to see improvements?
Yeah, our biggest weakness right now is we're just not rebounding that well. Now, sometimes the stats are a little misleading because we're turning people over. Like the other night, we gave up a bunch of, we only had 4 offensive rebounds ourselves, but we don't turn the ball over, and we're forcing a ton of turnovers. We ended up shooting 4 more shots than Iowa, but because we're turning people over, we're not getting the opportunity to get a lot more defensive rebounds. So, you can kind of use stats to fill whatever narrative you want. But yes, we just got to get better. We only have 4 offensive rebounds, and that's just not enough. We, especially when we're shooting 30 and 35 and 40% sometimes from the field. So we've got to do a better job there. I think just offensive fluidity. When we struggle, the ball sticks, and we've just got to keep the ball moving. We're certainly much better when our inside is playing well. When Philly is playing like we've seen Philly do, we're a different team. And we saw that in the second half here. She played well, was a presence inside, and that makes us a lot different. I just think, we're doing a lot of things well. We're not doing really anything great, but we're playing pretty good basketball.
Speaking of Philly, she's played 20-plus minutes in 6 straight games, I think now. What have you seen from her from a conditioning, medical standpoint, and then also just production and expectations as you kind of hit this stretch run?
Well, I have high expectations for Philly. But she is, she's, I think, getting close to 100%. She can certainly go for long stretches that she wasn't being able to do early in the season. But, yeah, when Philly is good, we're a whole different team. And what I've seen is she's becoming a little bit better presence defensively, and which is what we need. We're not a team that gets a lot of, blocked shots, but she's one of those that can do it for us. And her rebound numbers are getting a little bit better. She's just playing better. If she continues on this trajectory, I think down the stretch we're going to be pretty good. We're going to be pretty tough to beat because not a lot of people. The Iowa center. I actually heard her. She's too big. She was yelling to either one of her teammates or to her coach, and it's the truth. I mean, she's going to be 6'8" the whole game, and if she can just get deep position, you're not going to move her. So
you mentioned about that halfway point in the conference season. Just throughout, can you speak a little bit more? At the beginning of the season, you talked about Coach Freeman and just the impact she's had on the defense and the team.
Well, she's been great. She's really helped the culture. By the way, I'm a Dodger fan, so kind of take offense. And it's the Beaver colors. Can we work on that a little bit? Jairus has been fantastic. She's been a huge part of our culture change here. Really, I mean, she just comes in with a ton of energy each and every day, and that was sometimes I had to fill that role, like give the energy. Well, I'm 62 years old. My energy is different than young energy that she's been giving us, and I think it's just really helped. And our focus on the defense, her ownership of it, I think has just made an immense addition to the team.